Caitlin Clark hype ain't as big as it was. We all could agree on that. But something we all did not expect was the WNBA negotiations to actually use Caitlin Clark hype as leverage for former players.
Okay, check this out. The WNBA is absolutely on fire right now, but it's not because of a game or a buzzer beater. No, this time there's a wild storm brewing behind closed doors. We're talking about former WNBA players who are straight up being accused of hijacking Caitlin Clark's insane fame and popularity to demand more cash, sweeter benefits, and even some shimmery, exclusive personal perks in the upcoming CBA negotiations. This is getting intense.
They're trying to use Caitlin Clark hype to generate revenue for former players that played before them. What the Like, y'all realize y'all ain't even getting money now like that.
What started as what seemed like a chill chat about making the league better has totally blown up into a huge fight over who actually gets to cash in on Caitlin's insane success. Seriously, current and past players are clashing hard over who gets the credit, and more importantly, the money. It begs one massive question that's rising above all the noise. Is Caitlin Clark's massive impact truly being celebrated, or is she being completely exploited?
In this podcast, they spoke about the charter flights. Now, we know when Caitlin Clark first got there, within 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks of Caitlin Clark getting drafted, they got these damn charter flights. I mean, Kathy wasted no time. Hey, look, we finna get y'all these charter flights, and we finna get y'all better hotels. Boom, 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 boom. Wasted no time, right?
So where did all this chaos even start? It actually kicked off during an episode of the WNBA podcast, Full Circle, hosted by Lexi Brown and another former player. What everyone expected to be just a casual chat about league problems suddenly turned into this jaw-dropping heated revelation that left fans absolutely stunned. The host didn't hold back, openly diving into the upcoming collective bargaining agreement, negotiations, and straight up hinting that Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise was becoming their ultimate bargaining chip.
Quickly after that, literally within, I'll say 6 months, they get a new a TV rights deal. $2 billion TV rights deal out of left field like that. So the NBA was negotiating their current TV rights deal. Now, Adam Silver, being the smart businessman that he is, thought it'd be very profitable to, you know what, we're just going to throw the WNBA into our TV rights negotiation. Now, they never done this before. Now, boom, he got the WNBA $2 billion. Now, he simply did that because of who? Caitlin Clark.
And get this, they specifically brought up the sudden dramatic improvements in travel conditions, the massive $1 billion new TV rights deal, and how all of this magically popped up right after Caitlin Clark stepped into the league. The tone wasn't subtle at all. They were basically saying, hey, this new tsunami of attention, we can finally use it to lock in way better pay and benefits for everyone, not just current players, but retired legends too.
Yes, Caitlin Clark is the reason they got the $2 billion TV rights deal. And now they want to use Caitlin Clark as leverage to get former WNBA players to just swear up and down, to just swear to God is better than Caitlin Clark. I mean, they swear these players, your Cheryl Seuss, your Diana Taurasi, your Maya Morris, all these players, y'all swear is better than Caitlin, right? Well, if they was so much better than Caitlin, shouldn't they had already been getting their fair share of money? Like, y'all can't use.
For a ton of fans, that specific statement was the literal match that ignited an inferno. Instead of feeling good about progress, it sounded like some former stars were just straight up ready to cash in on someone else's skyrocketing popularity. Caitlin Clark's name, which was once this huge symbol of hope for women's basketball, was suddenly being thrown around like straight up currency in these intense negotiations. It was wild.
I remember my first 3 years in the league, we were still flying commercial. We were sharing hotel rooms like we were in college, and that was just the norm. Like, that's just, you know, that's what we expected when you had a dream of being the WNBA. You talk to other players, and they were very transparent about, okay, guys, like, this is not going to be like college. Like, you're back at the airports. You might have to share a room if you're a rookie. And, you know, we were just all like, yeah, the W, like, it's our dream. Like, I don't care. Like, whatever. Like, I've always wanted to play the WNBA.
But wait, there's more. The podcast also peeled back the curtain on some truly uncomfortable truths about the league's financial structure, and seriously, it wasn't pretty. Lexi specifically mentioned that players back in the day actually had to share hotel rooms, fly commercial like regular people, and even practice in gyms that were literally right next to loud Zumba classes. Can you even imagine?
That wasn't negotiated in our CBA, the charter flights. Kathy kind of was just like, here, charter flights. So that's something that we also have to renegotiate in our CBA.
Kathy wasn't like that. Adam Silver got y'all those damn charter flights. See, Caitlin Clark got y'all those. There's no like here. No, that ain't how it worked, bruh.
These vivid, almost painful details really painted a picture of deep struggle, but here's the thing though, it also sparked some major questions. If conditions were truly that awful before, why didn't the league or its veteran players push for significant changes way earlier? Fans online, of course, picked up on this tension like wildfire, and social media threads absolutely exploded with comments, straight up accusing certain players of jealousy and entitlement. Now, don't get me wrong, others jumped in to defend them, arguing that the system has always undervalued women's sports, and hey, Caitlin's fame simply blasted that spotlight brighter. But the underlying feeling was crystal clear. People were furious that the very same figures who seemingly overlooked the league's flaws for so long were now suddenly using Caitlin Clark's name as leverage to demand more. And just like that, the massive backlash officially began. Get ready for this because it gets even wilder. Caitlin Clark never asked to be the absolute face of a league's financial revolution, yet here she is, her name being thrown around in every single boardroom, podcast, and press release that even touches the WNBA's future. The moment Clark stepped into the league, it was like everything shifted overnight. I mean, within just 2 weeks of her arrival, charter flights magically appeared, media attention absolutely exploded, and ticket sales shattered records that had stood for ages. Then, not long after, a colossal $2 billion TV rights deal was brokered under Adam Silver's watchful eye, a move that analysts are shouting from the rooftops was largely influenced by Clark's undeniable popularity and market value. But here's the crazy part, instead of this being a moment of epic unity for the league, that success became a sharp dividing line. A lot of players, especially the veterans, started seeing Clark's presence as pure leverage. Some argued, hey, if she can pull in record audiences and brand new sponsorships, then the entire league deserves a bigger slice of that pie, including all of us who paved the way. Yet, others saw it as a brazen attempt to just ride the wave of one player's success without actually bringing much to the table themselves. The real problem is, Caitlin's meteoric rise wasn't just about her basketball skills, it was this perfect storm of timing, culture, and a genuine connection with a brand new demographic of fans, many of whom had literally never watched a WNBA game before. This massive influx of interest created undeniable revenue, but it also, unfortunately, brewed a simmering resentment among players who had been grinding for years without even a fraction of that spotlight. Suddenly, legendary figures like Diana Taurasi and Cheryl Swoops were being dragged into intense debates about fairness and legacy, like should they suddenly get new benefits just because Caitlin brought in new sponsors, or does that completely undermine all the hard work she's doing to elevate the sport today? The whole discussion quickly spiraled into this full-blown power struggle between generations, with one side claiming they built the unbreakable foundation, and the other arguing they were the ones who finally made people actually care. As this tension infected the entire league, it became blindingly clear Caitlin Clark wasn't just a player anymore, she had morphed into a symbol, a valuable asset that everyone, whether she liked it or not, desperately wanted a piece of. Now, honoring pioneers, that's not controversial. Every league celebrates its legends, but the issue here is the tone. The way former WNBA players are framing their demands feels less like respect and more like bitter resentment. Back on the Full Circle podcast, Lexi Brown and her co-host talked about improving healthcare, pensions, and travel benefits for retired athletes, and on paper, that sounds fair, right? But in practice, countless fans felt they were just using Caitlin Clark's achievements as a shortcut to grab perks they were never promised. It's one thing to push for progress, but it's an entirely different beast to build your entire case on someone else's monumental success, and that's precisely what rubbed so many people the wrong way. Caitlyn didn't negotiate that massive TV deal. She didn't approve the charter flight. She just played her heart out and ignited a cultural phenomenon that the league simply couldn't ignore. Yet suddenly, her popularity is being weaponized as the moral justification for retroactive reward. What made it even worse was the undeniable tone of entitlement dripping from some of these conversations. Instead of gratitude for the new attention, there was this palpable frustration that it didn't arrive soon. Some veterans notoriously argued they walked so Caitlyn could run, but that sentiment landed about as well as a lead balloon with fans who saw it as dismissive, even bitter. Social media absolutely erupted with furious replies asking why these same players couldn't attract viewers or sponsors during their own time in the league if they were truly being overlooked. Meanwhile, current players find themselves trapped in the middle, appreciating what Clark has brought to the sport, the visibility, the excitement, the actual fans filling seats, but also quietly admitting they're exhausted by her name being slapped onto every single headline, every improvement, every paycheck. That simmering tension is making unity a distant dream, and it's threatening to blow up into public view at any moment. What started as admiration for Caitlyn Clark's monumental impact has now twisted into envy, fierce politics, and a cutthroat competition for control over the league's shiny new narrative. The burning question now is whether the WNBA can actually survive its own growing pains, or if this internal jealousy will ultimately destroy the very progress Clark helped ignite. Here's the strangest twist of all: how quickly the admiration for Caitlyn Clark flipped right into raw resentment. Just a few months ago, she was hailed as the undisputed savior of women's basketball, the rookie filling arenas, boosting ratings, and reeling in new sponsors for a league that desperately needed them. But as her popularity exploded, so did the line of people trying to claim a piece of her influence. Former players demanded recognition, current players sought leverage, and executives scrambled to capitalize on her marketability. Somewhere in that frenetic scramble, Caitlyn stopped being a player and became a literal commodity. The warning signs were everywhere. Interviews that once celebrated her game began subtly shifting focus to how her fame should benefit others. Articles framed her success as a collective victory, but the underlying tone often screamed that everyone except Caitlyn was entitled to the rewards. Even when she remained silent, her name was relentlessly used to push agendas, defend pay demands, and justify the struggles of generations past. And that, my friends, is where the backlash took its most toxic turn. The very same media that built her up suddenly started looking for ways to humble her, magnifying every missed shot, every on-court emotion, every tiny rookie mistake. Some veteran players publicly diminished her accomplishments, saying she still had a lot to prove. Others shamelessly implied her popularity stemmed from privilege, not pure performance. The entire narrative had brutally shifted from Caitlyn Clark the phenom to Caitlyn Clark the problem. Yet, through all of it, she never wavered, never fired back with angry posts, no defensive interviews, just quiet, unwavering focus on her game. That unwavering silence has ironically become her greatest weapon. While others talk, she plays. While others negotiate, she inspires. But make no mistake, this exact moment will absolutely define the WNBA's entire future. If the league continues to attack its biggest draw, it risks alienating the very audience it fought so hard to build. Caitlyn Clark's story isn't just about basketball anymore. It's a chilling case study in what happens when hero worship turns into bitter envy, and how a league ultimately decides whether to protect its brightest star or, tragically, feed off her until there's nothing left. The WNBA is standing at a critical crossroads. What started as Caitlyn Clark's breathtaking rise to superstardom has now savagely exposed deep, ugly fractures within the league, between generations, between ideals, and between those who tirelessly build and those who solely benefit. Former players are clamoring for credit, current stars are desperately pushing for progress, and fans, well, they just want the drama to stop. Yet amidst all this deafening noise, one profound truth remains. Caitlyn Clark didn't create this tension, she merely revealed it. Whether the WNBA finally unites behind her unparalleled success, or tragically lets jealousy tear it apart, will determine not just its next season, but its entire enduring legacy in sports history.